Founded back in 2002, Musk has been working on his dream to colonize Mars, and SpaceX plays a major role in making his once too good to be true dream come true. SpaceX has set a competition for all other space companies, both private and government. SpaceX is also redefining the way humans are going to space by winning against all other space agencies throughout the world. This does not mean that space agencies like NASA are incapable in any way. Although remember, we still talk about Neil Armstrong going to the moon in 1969 and nobody else yet has. And we are in 2020. Why is that? Recently, SpaceX carried 4 astronauts in their latest Crew Dragon mission to ISS for NASA. But what is so special about SpaceX? And why is the biggest space agency, NASA, paying them to do the thing they have been doing all their life? Let's check it out. Surprisingly, SpaceX actually carried 5 astronauts instead of 4, but nobody is talking about it. Stay tuned to find out more. So, what exactly happened back in 2003? What is the Columbia Space Shuttle accident and how did it happen? The story goes back to 2003 when the Columbia Space Shuttle had its final journey, leading to the deaths of many astronauts, affecting NASA's plans to send people into space. The Space Shuttle Columbia was the first space-rated orbiter in NASA's Space Shuttle fleet that flew for the first time on mission STS-1 on April 12, 1981, the first flight of the Space Shuttle program. Serving for more than 22 years, it performed a total of 27 flights before disintegrating during re-entry at the end of its 28th flight, STS-107, on the 1st of February 2003. A flight that resulted in the tragic death of all 7 crew members present on the ship coming back after a 16-day scientific mission. It was determined by the Columbia Accident Investigation Board that a hole was punched in the leading edge on one of Columbia's carbon composite wings. This hole was initially formed when a piece of insulating foam peeled off from the external fuel tank during the launch 16 days earlier and struck the shuttle's left wing. However, during the re-entry, the ship experienced intense heat, which was completely normal, but unfortunately the hot gases penetrated the interior of the wing, likely compromising the hydraulic system and leading to control failure of the control surfaces. The loss of control exposed all minimally secured parts of the orbiter to full entry heating and dynamic stresses, which ultimately contributed to the vehicle's breakdown. The incident itself was pretty tragic, but what's even worse is the fact that NASA could never recover from this fatal accident. Why? Well, firstly, the reports produced by the entire investigation deepened and dealt with the underlying organizational and cultural issues that the board believed had contributed to the accident. The report was highly critical of NASA's decision-making and risk assessment processes. Furthermore, the board concluded that unlike NASA's early statements, there were very high chances and possibilities that a rescue mission would have been feasible using the Shuttle Atlantis, which was practically ready for launch and could have rescued the Columbia crew. Later, on the 14th of January 2004, President George W. Bush announced the retirement of the human spaceflight program after the completion of the International Space Station (ISS) program, with an announcement that America will develop a new spacecraft capable of returning astronauts to the moon. Due to these very reasons, NASA stopped getting enough funds to carry out the mission on its own. Lack of funds meant they could not afford more experts or brand new space vehicles specific for the mission. The following year, NASA's chief at the time, Mike Griffin, announced that the completion of the ISS would, for the first time, open up commercial opportunities for the regular transport of freight and astronauts to the low Earth orbit. This was taken as a strategy used to free up enough funds in order to obtain a moon return. NASA therefore set up a Commercial Crew and Cargo Program Office, C-3PO, to oversee the effort, and then the race between private space companies started. Not to mention Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin was also there. So this is where Elon Musk's SpaceX comes into the picture, and how their days turned when SpaceX was only a startup company, almost at the brink of bankruptcy. At the time, SpaceX was only a few years old. Elon Musk, a South African-born entrepreneur, was all about reducing the expense of spaceflight by reusing space hardware and setting people up on Mars. SpaceX was founded to make life multi-planetary, says Jessica Jensen, director of Starship mission hardware and operation at SpaceX. However, she further added, "We were a very small company for several years, so we had to look for opportunities. How do you go from being a small company to actually putting people into orbit? Well, when NASA came out with the need to fly cargo to and from the International Space Station, we jumped on that. SpaceX was initially shortlisted for evaluation evaluation under the NASA cargo program back in 2006. However, by 2008, Musk invested in another business venture, Tesla, the electric car manufacturing company, and this brought a dilemma where he could either split the funds he had between the two companies or direct all the cash from one company. But that meant death to the other. At that point, Musk decided to keep both the companies alive, which was a highly risky decision. Such a risk that he took. Luckily for him, on the 23rd of December 2008, NASA awarded SpaceX with a $1.6 billion contract to ferry cargo and supplies to the ISS. Describing his reaction, Musk said, "I couldn't even maintain my composure. I was like, I love you guys." Initially, the government was pretty cautious about the Commercial Crew program and did not have adequate funds. However, Charles Bolden, the former astronaut who took over from Griffin as NASA's leader under Obama, persisted and finally received the support he needed. From their original $50 million investment in the program in 2010, the space agency swept several rival firms down to two, SpaceX and Boeing, in 2014. Ever since that day, they've been refining and evaluating their designs for spacecraft. In March 2019, SpaceX unveiled a victorious astronaut-free Crew Dragon, and NASA was almost back into business. Using automated processes, the capsule was successfully approached and docked with the space station. Hence, we come to the birth of the company's Dragon 1 capsule, a space vehicle that was initially built to carry cargo and supplies but not humans. Nevertheless, it represented a major milestone for the company. The SpaceX's Commercial Crew program works more like chartering a flight. Along for the historic flight, SpaceX carried NASA's astronauts, Crew Dragon commander Michael Hopkins, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialist Shannon Walker, joined by Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency JAXA mission specialist Soichi Noguchi, to the space station in November 2020. But wait, there's more to this 6-month-long science mission. NASA added a surprise fifth passenger to the Crew 1 mission, and nobody could have ever guessed who the fifth crew member would be. Well, it is a plush toy, or as many would recognize him as the Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian. However, it is there for a purpose. The doll is known as the Zero Gravity Indicator, typically a soft, small object that is allowed to float free in the spacecraft cabin to provide a simple but effective confirmation of when it passes into the phase of a spaceflight where Earth's gravity no longer holds significant sway. Well, SpaceX has become a very important space agency indeed, especially for NASA, and maybe no dream is too good to be true if the right amount of work and consistency is put into it. We just can't wait when SpaceX will bring humans to Mars and beyond.